Hello and welcome to the next APW webinar. Welcome to the show. For those joining us for the first time, my name is Chad Viveros from the APW Group, a company built for expats by expats. We specialize in helping overseas professionals invest smarter with a clearer focus on education first. We know when investing from abroad, especially when it comes to UK property, it can feel uncertain. Your assets are miles away, the market moves fast, and the advice isn't always clear. That's why we've made it our mission to simplify the process, giving you the knowledge, the tools, and the support to make confident decisions. We work with leading UK developers and property providers to bring you access to exclusive, high-performing property opportunities in the country's most promising locations. In fact, over the last 5 years, our clients have invested over £150 million worth of property through the APW Group, and we're proud to say we have a 94% investor retention rate, a testament to trust and to performance. If you're listening and want to learn more, we've released a free ebook that you can download from our website, www.apw-property.com. And that book is titled The Expat Property Playbook, a guide to 10 steps to £10,000 in monthly income. Now, on to today's guest, and it is a special one. Joe Billingham is the founder and CEO of Prosperity, and a true veteran in the UK property space. Joe's been in the game for over 25 years, getting his start at just 18. Since then, he's built one of the most recognized names in the sector, delivering innovative property investment products and opportunities to clients across the UK, Middle East, as well as Asia. From managing hundreds of residential properties to pioneering property payment plans for international investors, Joe has consistently stayed ahead of market trends. He's identified the shifts before they happen, and he's helped others benefit from them. He's presented at seminars globally, built long-standing relationships with developers and financial professionals alike, and his passion for property as the number one asset class is clear in everything he does. Joe, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, and appreciate the introduction.
I do try. You've got some interesting things here to talk about, and one of them is an off-market opportunity. But I don't know if you'd like to start off with telling us what is Prosperity, what makes it so special, because I know there's a number of parts that do that, and then we can talk about this opportunity itself.
Sure, okay. So Prosperity, first and foremost, we are developers based in Birmingham. We're currently the largest private developer in Birmingham by way of output in numbers. So I'd just like to tell you a bit about the group and how that works. So Prosperity, we are first and foremost developers based in Birmingham. We're currently the largest privately owned developer in the city by way of output, and that's been our progression over the last few years. But it's very much a business that's focused on our individual buyers and what their expectations are, what their aspirations are. So the ecosystem that we've created is really to supply property to individuals, but to be able to offer all of the different components that mean that they can have as hassle-free journey as possible. And I say hassle-free because I think there is an educational piece required when it comes to buying property. Anyone that's bought a UK home, anyone that's arranged a mortgage, recognises that we can have challenges along the way, and certainly it doesn't always be a totally stress-free process. But we're here to support each element of it, and we've got the experience to assist clients throughout the whole process. So the group looks like this. We've got developments and homes, so that kind of speaks for itself as far as homes is a separate division. So we're currently building 300 homes in Norfolk, for example. We like that Cambridge corridor. We think there's some good value there, and a lot of our sites are based in that part of the country. Developments is a combination of permitted development. So permitted development is an existing building that we're going to convert into a residential building. So it might be commercial that we're converting into a selection of flats. And then it also looks after our new build, which is Birmingham City Centre, where we do developments from around 150 units to 700 units. So a real spread there of different types of developments for different types of clients. and then different levels of amenity. So that might mean that some developments are kind of amenity low, so they may well be a development more sort of boutique with a sort of concierge, right the way up to Smithfield, which is a large scale development with full amenity. It has private dining, cinema, it has multiple workspaces, a terrace, and all the amenities that sort of young city professionals, want to see in their living environments. Living is our portfolio where we hold an element of each of our developments ourselves. And that's important, I think, to be able to maintain a level of ownership from a company perspective, but also sit side by side with our clients from an ownership perspective and take that long-term journey with them with that building. Wealth is the intermediary. So wealth is the point that would interact between ourselves and APW, for example. And then into the management pieces here, we've got Vita, which is our housing association, Block, which is our block manager. We manage all of our blocks now. I think one of the feedback points that we had from clients, they love the client journey. We like to keep clients very updated throughout the whole process, from videos on site and obviously contacting them throughout the build. And then at the point of completion, we're always there to work through that completion process. And then we go into lettings and management. But one of the feedback points we did have was when we released the building to a third party provider, they didn't always feel that was done at best value and the service wasn't as good as we would want for our clients. So we've taken that in-house now. We manage all the buildings ourselves. We can do it a lot more effectively and we can do it a lot more cost effectively. So to provide a better service at, I think, better value. And then on to the final component, which is an important part of the journey, because that's really where the journey starts for clients. At the point of completion, they need somebody that understands the property, understands the building, to let and manage that property. So Lamont & Co. takes on that responsibility, understands working with expats, understands working with kind of non-UK nationals, and generally sort of has got more an investment focus than your typical kind of high street. So we manage currently 78% of our properties that we've built. And that's a real sort of area of the business that we're continuously looking to refine and then continuously looking to provide a level of service that you shouldn't be able to get elsewhere, based on the fact that we know our buildings better than anyone else. So although I don't want to make this all about prosperity, it needs to be obviously about you, the individual that's watching this. This is just to give you a bit of a flavour of kind of the buildings handed over in 2024. So last year we did a mix of new build Birmingham, Parkview, JQ Rise, new build houses as well as apartments at the neighbourhood, and then homes at Broadoaks, and then a mix of conversion properties, St Mary's, Home House and Fargate House. So culminating in around 600 properties that were delivered, handed over to clients that are now going into our lettings and management business. So talking about in a bit more detail about the different components that we offer as a developer. Lamont & Co. I think is a really important piece, lettings and management. It's about keeping the voids as little as possible, making sure that we've got tenants ready to move in at the point of completion. So you're not completing on the property and then having to go out, find a lettings and management agent, await that time for them to market the property and find a tenant. We can do that alongside your completion journey. So at the point of completion, we've got someone ready to move in. And then our focus, as I say, is very investment led. So it's about keeping the best possible income with the minimal amount of voids, and then keeping costs down to maximise your ultimate yield and rental return. Block, as I say, is the block manager. So the distinction there is you've got the management of the actual building and the management of the tenant. So the management of the building is a specific role where we maintain insurance on the building, external cleaning, windows, internal communal areas. Any maintenance that needs to be done on the property needs to be done swiftly. And then the beauty with this, I think, while working in collaboration with Block and Lamont, that are both prosperity companies, you've got that interaction which not many people enjoy. Ultimately, as a block manager, you need to get yourself into certain apartments. So you're talking to then a third-party individual, a third-party managing agent that manages that tenant. Whereas for us, it's about a conversation across the room. You've got the Block team and you've got the Lamont team. So quite easily they can resolve issues if you've got a leaking tap, or you've got maybe a more severe leak where there's a leak that's then coming into the ceiling below. That might happen. When that happens, you need to be able to access the apartment as well as the building. Whereas with these two companies working in conjunction, this is something that we can offer. So Vita Homes is a new part of the group, and this is really about social housing. So social housing has become more and more important in the UK, as you may well know. Vita was born out of us looking to deliver homes where we can manage them and we can manage those tenants. So what that means to you as a buyer in one of our developments would be, this doesn't go into a third party, so it doesn't go into social rents. These properties now are managed by us, and we focus on key workers. So every development in the UK will have an element of social housing, and this is our way of having a level of control over who lives in our homes. And whereas we focus on discounted rents, majority of the developments we do, the rental level means that we're looking for key workers, and we're looking for people that are looking for a discount from the open market rather than social rents, which is an important factor, I think, for longevity of the development.
It was a beautiful presentation, Joe. I think from what I've heard, and in my humble opinion, it's what sets Prosperity apart. We've partnered with you for a very, very long time, and we've got numerous customers and their testimonials talking about how having such a hands-off approach to property and allowing investors that are overseas, miles away in different time zones, to have that peace of mind knowing every single aspect of this investment is taken care of. Not many other developers offer anything close, and I think a lot of different investors don't know that this is even an option, that you can do everything under one roof.
Sure. I think I've been an expat myself for 6 years, and whilst owning property in the UK, it became quite apparent quite quickly that your average high street letting agent is not really accustomed to deal with people that are a long way away, maybe as you say in different time zones, their requirements, and really offering that sort of hands-off approach. So I think that gave me the real basis of what I wanted to create when it came to Lamont & Co, and then build those numerous departments, supporting the client and supporting us as a developer.
And now, with that first half of the webinar out the way, talking about what makes Prosperity special, let's move to the second half, which is that off-market opportunity that APW and Prosperity are bringing to the different investors watching. Can you show me what that looks like?
Sure. So we're excited about this one, and I might say that about all of our developments. But the reason why I'm excited about this one is because of the success we had in Chesterfield with the first generation of sites that we did there. So we delivered St Mary's, which was a development of 60 units in the city, very much in a similar location to this. This one's got a better frontage, it's more high street, and it's probably more in the centre of everything. The other thing I like about this particular building is the facade. It's a beautiful building that we're looking to bring back to its former glory, both inside and then obviously make it some lovely accommodation internally. So the key demographics around All Saints as a development and as a location. Aside from this being a lovely building, and there'd be very much sort of bespoke apartments within it, the demographics around Chesterfield are fantastic. So if you look at kind of where it's priced currently around sort of neighbouring towns, I think there's some value to be had. I think it's underpriced for what it offers. And then if you look at one of the key demographics of the drivers of why we develop in certain areas, we build in locations where the fundamentals are right. So location is one of the fundamentals that everyone knows is a key element of investing in property. And yes, location for your residential buyer means something different from your investment buyer, i.e., if you're buying in a certain location as a residential buyer, you want to make sure that you get the right catchment area for your children, it's close to your employment, and all the obvious things that you're going to need as an individual living there yourself. I think when you look at investment property, you look at those same fundamentals, but you look at it on a probably more macro level. So you look at from the basis of what are the key employers in this location that's going to mean that I've got tenants that are well paid, working professionals. So within the catchment area for Chesterfield, within our current development, we've found that we've got a lot of medical staff there. We've got doctors, nurses, and then we've also got the industrial professionals. So we've got Rolls-Royce workers there, Bombardier. So, businesses where, they're bringing people in to work on placements maybe for 2 to 3 years at a time. They're highly skilled, highly paid individuals, the type of tenants that we want, good working professionals. So we let down St Mary's within around 5 weeks. I think we did our last let maybe on the 6th week, but certainly the vast majority of it was gone within that first month of release, and then we sort of worked through for those sort of following couple of weeks just to sort of get every unit let. So the landlords that bought in that development, were really pleased. We actually achieved higher rents than what we originally expected from the point of sale. And this, I think, will be a similar cycle. So this is a 3-year project. We're actually on a 30-month payment plan on this. There's a lot of work to do on the building. At the moment, it's a working building, so the tenants are currently moving out, and then we'll start then the renovation. We've got around 10 months of external works to do, and then we'll be getting internal then to do the internal fit outs. Every apartment will be a bit different because it's a period building, so you don't get that same sort of floor plate where you can just sort of break everything up in exactly the same format. So I think that there'll be some nice views. It's a fantastic location. But I think, like I say, for us, one of the key elements with Chesterfield is really what it's got from a location perspective. So alongside the really strong employment base, and then that tenant profile, you're right on the cusp of the Peak District. So it's I think some of our marketing references kind of having the best of both worlds really. It's a beautiful building. There'll be lovely apartments, strong tenant profile, and then those tenants are living there not only from the employment perspective, but from what's around it. You can be in the Peak District within minutes in and around Chesterfield, and then I'll just show you the kind of location point from from where it sits. So it's really in the centre of everything. You're in walking distance to the station. You've got multiple shopping locations dotted around. There's the bars, there's the restaurants, which obviously aren't pointed out on this slide. The market hall, pretty much in the centre of town. Everything you could need, and then, as I say, you jump in the car and then you head off to the Peak District. So it's a great spot. A key element that we look at alongside that base of employment is about what's happening in the area. What's happening from a regeneration perspective. A lot of main cities have got sort of big regeneration stories, but not very many towns of this size have a regeneration program quite as substantial as Chesterfield. So there's currently a 2 billion regeneration happening, and it's really focused around that town centre. It's bringing the town, it's opening the town up from a connectability perspective, making it more usable. Obviously, it's an old market town, so they're kind of looking to make it more accessible. And then on the back of that, lift the profile of Chesterfield and make it a more desirable place to live. So another area that we focus on quite heavily as a fundamental is the connectability. So if you look at the fact that we're in Birmingham, HS2 is big news here, and where that then goes out into the sort of the wider towns and cities, but fundamentally you've got that great road network around Chesterfield. It's the Midland Main Line from a train perspective. You've got the M1, which pretty much takes you to all the northern cities, and then obviously down south. So in line with the expat property playbook, we had some negotiations with APW for specifically this development. It was a development that they'd been involved in the previous generation with St Mary's, and obviously their clients had a good experience. So what they wanted to do here was just push that completion time scale out just slightly further, so they've got slightly longer to collect the 30% deposit required. So we're now taking this development as an exclusive for APW over 30 months, which would mean that in line, as I say, with their philosophy of as little down as possible to get maximum return. So to buy a property at All Saints, it's a 5% deposit, which is a reservation exchange deposit, and then you would pay a 1% payment in relation to the purchase price per month for 30 months. So it's quite an affordable way to be able to buy a UK property and an affordable way to amass a 30% deposit.
It's a beautiful opportunity. If we had to talk about the specific entry points, could you take us through that?
Yeah, no problem, Chad. So we've got the smaller one beds starting at 149995, and these produce £8,400 a year. So producing a 6% yield. And the way you would go about buying one of those units is it would be a £7,500 deposit. So it's just 5% down, and that's your deposit to reserve and exchange. And then there would be a monthly payment of £1,500 a month for 30 months. The balance of £97,000 would be then financed on a mortgage, which obviously we would arrange for you. And then obviously your rental income would cover your mortgage requirements with your costs.
And that's beautiful. The 2-bedroom, what's the starting point on that?
169995.
And there you have it, an incredible offering brought to you by Prosperity right there in the heart of Chesterfield, called All Saints. Prosperity, as you've seen, offers a turnkey solution for investors looking to invest from abroad. And in terms of Chesterfield itself, we've went through population, infrastructure, as well as employment, what we call PI, something every single investor should look at before making that purchase. If you'd like to see Joe speaking more about Chesterfield and taking you through not only the location, but the investment itself, please take a look at the description down below. We will have some more links on that. If you'd like to contact us, you can either visit our website, www.apw-property.com, send us an email, hello@apwgroup.co, or feel free to download our ebook, The Expat's Property Playbook, a 10-step guide to earning £10,000 a month. That's an incredible book, and you might find that quite useful. Joe, thank you so much for jumping on board with us and talking a bit about this new opportunity. And we look forward to speaking to you a little bit more on not only our property podcast, but again with the next opportunity.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. To everybody else, if you've got any questions, anything like that, we look forward to speaking to you on an individual basis. See you next time. Thank you and goodbye.